Luz y progreso y gracia a la misericordia. This is Ancista Brujo Luis, and I'm doing the second part to my video on developing the dead, desarrollando los muertos, developing the dead part 1. You can find that on my YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, you can look through my videos. This is the second part. Now, in the first part, I showed you simple exercises that we are taught on how to develop a connection with our spirit guides, with our ancestors. Many people think that by coming into our traditions, into Espiritismo, Maria Leonza, Sanse, Umbanda, these traditions like that, that automatically just by, or Espiritismo Cruzado, Espiritismo Cordón, just by being part of these traditions, we go home and we build an altar to our spirit guides or to our ancestors, that automatically we're going to be flooded by information, or that our spirit guides are going to communicate with us. No, it doesn't happen that way. So hopefully you can go to part 1, where I give exercises on what one can do, simple exercises one can do, what one can do to, develop these things. Now, I did exercises, simple exercises. Please check it out. And the first one was an exercise on seeing, which develops your clairvoyance. Okay, that was the first one. The second one I did was on listening or hearing, which develops your clairaudience. The third one I did was feeling, which develops your clairsentience. Okay, the fourth exercise I showed in that video was smelling. Okay, aromas, which develops your clairsent. Then I did a fifth exercise, which was on tasting, physically tasting things, which is clairtangency. And then the final exercise that I did on that video was physically touching things, physically touching objects, okay? And that is clairgustance, okay? So hopefully you can go back to that. I didn't get to finish it because I didn't want to make the video too long. So I'm just going to add the last two, which is claircognience, which is clear knowing. Claircognience, or clear knowing, is knowing something that comes from a source that is higher than yourself. It could be a spirit guide, as it could be your own higher self. It comes in informations. It could be spurts of little informations, or it can be a whole bunch of information. Some people develop this, and some people are born with it. They have it their whole life, and they don't understand where it comes from. The more you develop it, the more you listen to your spirit guides, and the more you trust them. If it's a spirit of higher light, if it's a spirit of good, you can feel it in your heart. You can feel it in your soul that it feels right. When you know it's not a spirit of goodness, you feel it in your stomach, a burning sensation that is just, okay, this information is not right. Okay, so this is where we get clear knowing, okay, which again I said it's from your higher source, your spirit guides, and it's information that goes into your whole being in forms of smaller insights about a person, a place, or a situation, and it can be inspired ideas which come in strong senses. It's just senses that are beyond logic, beyond physical logic. It's just you don't know where this information comes from, and that comes from developing that. And like I said, many people develop it within time. Many people have it since the moment they're born, and it just grows. And again, many people have it when they're younger, and it wanes as they get older, or they go through a traumatic experience, and then it reawakens it. I'm sorry about that. But clear knowing is it's intuitive information. I'm sorry that I'm just following my notes so that I don't lose myself. But I'm going to read this part. It says that this is intuitive information which comes into the thinking mind not into the physical heart, which is the love, the heart or the heart chakra, or your physical eyes, okay? It's just knowing that comes from a higher source. So that is clear knowing. The next one that I want to speak about is clear empathy. Clear empathy is clear emotions. Empaths are, we call them in Spanish, esponjas, sensitivo, where we can go into a certain place or a certain location, and no matter where we go, we're always absorbing people's emotions, and we take it into ourselves. I can go into certain places, and the moment I walk in, I can just feel emotions. I can feel if a place feels comfortable, if a place feels sad, if the people in that place feel sad. I absorb that into myself. A lot of people who are empaths, they think that by spiritually cleansing themselves, they're fine and they can go to these certain locations. Yes, you can. And I always suggest that you should cleanse yourself when you're going to go to these certain locations or anywhere where you're going to be surrounded by a lot of people. And when you leave that place and you feel boggled down, you should cleanse yourself again with Florida water or sage. But I know that when we go into these certain locations, we should close our eyes and visualize our aura surrounded by a shield, okay? And it's a protective shield that no matter where we go, we will not pick up so much emotions. Yes, we will pick up emotions, but we won't pick up as much as if we did not have this shield. This shield can last 3 hours. It can last 4 hours, but we should constantly do it. I remember I brought my godson to Salem, Massachusetts on Halloween night, and I dressed in black. I dressed in black because black is a very protective color. And I dressed in black, and I knew I was going to be surrounded by 1,000,001 people in Salem, Massachusetts on the eve of the witch, All Hallows Eve. So I dressed in black, and I remembered that on the train, I visualized that shield, that protective shield. And I remember that, I was just very protective. I was very guarded. And when it went down, again, I stopped myself. I went to the Pickering Wharf. There's a wharf in Salem where the ocean is. And again, I visualized the sea, the air cleansing me because I was picking up too much emotions. And again, I build that shield, and I went right back into to the festivities. Today, me and my friend Carolina, we were in Boston. We had gone to do some shopping or whatever, but I remember she wanted to take me to this Harvard Square, and I come from a small town type thing where there are people here, of course, but around me there's nature. There's a lot of nature. Empaths. People who are empaths research nature. We need to be around nature. Nature is a way, that we purify, that we cleanse ourselves. So we had gone to this big city, and she wanted to take me to some Gothic shops and, shops, because I like rings. I like to collect, silver rings of skulls or whatever that I like. But she wanted to take me there. But I remember when we got there, it was just packed with people. And empaths, the way we absorb people's emotions is through their aura, okay? If a person is upset, their aura sends shards, okay? And us as empaths, when they're sending out these shards, we're absorbing it. I didn't realize that we were going to go into such a full place of so many people that I remember I started getting combobulated. I started getting nervous, to the point that I was getting her nervous. And she was like, Luis, relax, calm down. And I didn't realize it. So I said to myself, all right, stop for a moment, breathe, push it away, and build that shield around me. And then I was fine. I was calm. She brought me to the stores where I wanted to see the jewelry that I wanted to see. I had that shield. I looked around, and I remember I'm also a feeler, a toucher. I love to touch things. And we had gone to this artistic shop where like artists would do crafts, and I would touch clay, and I would touch just the art, because that's another way that I whatever I pick up, I kind of like, sorry to say, I kind of either put it into the object, or I feel the energy, the ache of the object, and I absorb it into myself, that calming energy, and I absorb it into myself to heal me, to calm myself down. So yes, this happens to a lot of empaths. I've noticed that empaths, people who are empaths, we need to live in we can live in cities, but we need to live close to nature. We need nature. And on a daily basis, I search out the rivers, I search out the woods, and those empaths, if you ever go to a city, like let's say New York, if you ever go to New York and you ever go to a spiritual person, most spiritual people, most, not all, but most spiritual people are empaths, okay? And if you ever go to a person who is an empath, and you go to their house, you're going to notice that they have feng shui in their house. Whether they recognize they have feng shui or they don't, they do. They have plants, they have live plants, they have candles lit, they have incense burning, they have water, goblets, fountains, and they have these elemental energies cleansing and purifying their home. Most empaths we are kind of like introvert. Is that the word that I want to use? Introvert. My friend was talking about that to me today, where we can be around people for a certain amount of time, but after a while we seclude ourselves. We go into that place where we need to heal ourselves, where we need to ground ourselves, where we need to meditate, where we need to pray. We don't do well around huge parties. We don't do well loud music. We like quiet music, serene music. Our homes for empaths are our most sacred temple. It is the most sacred temple that we have. And the brightest candle is our head, so we're always constantly cleansing. Many empaths that live in big cities that cannot get to nature, and they don't realize that they're empaths. I noticed that they turn to stop these pains that they don't understand. These achaques is what I'm going to call it in Spanish. The emotions, because they don't know where these emotions are coming from. They get confused, so they turn into drugs or alcohol to alleviate that, which sadly opens the door. It opens Pandora's box, is what that really does. I smoke cigarettes, but I do not physically take any narcotics. I don't really take prescription drugs of any kind. I try to naturally heal myself, and very rarely do I drink. And if I drink, it's like maybe two, alcoholic beverages. I know my limit. But yes, so a lot of people who are empaths that live in big cities, sadly to say, if they don't realize that they're empaths and they don't have these healing energies within their homes, these candles, these plants, the incense, the water goblets, they turn to alcohol or narcotics to heal that pain, which, like I said, opens Pandora's box. Another question that I got about was how do, developing the dead, not just develop the dead, but how, as a mediunidad, as a medium, as a spiritista, do we channel spirit? Is it easy for us? The experience is very different for every single one, and the best way I can explain it is, have you ever seen the movie The Sixth Sense, when the little boy who was, I'm trying to remember the movie, the little boy would see these they seemed like bad spirits. He didn't understand what the spirits were saying, and they were driving that poor little boy crazy. This is desarrollando espiritual. It's not very pretty. It's not really, it's not glory like a lot of people think. A lot of people who desarrollamos espiritualmente and we become channelers of spirit, we often develop with lower level spirits that in the past life were tortured souls, and or not just tortured souls, they might have passed away in a bad way, whether they could have been murdered or they could have been suicide or whatever, and they're looking for some form of peace from their loved ones. And so we as mediums, as faros de luces, as lighthouses, they see us and they get attracted to us. You know, you got to visualize it as they're living in a realm of darkness and they see us, our aura. We become like a lighthouse, un faro de luz, and they get attracted to us, you know. And we might not know what they want, so most of us, it feels threatening to us. It really does feel scary. I remember when I was young, there was a media unidad. Her name was Maria, and Maria was around my age, and she would go to my grandmother's templo. The spirits, when she was developing, desarrollando, and when we say desarrollando, imagine when we're teenagers and we're going through our hormones around 12 or 13, the hormones are kicking in. So imagine that times 10, okay, when we're developing. She was developing with a spirit that was very low, that would, at any time, that spirit would just jump on her body and she would kind of go, you know, crazy. At school, it would attack her, where she would start pulling her hair and throw herself on the floor. It had gotten so bad that they had brought her to the templo, the centro, my grandmother's templo, to help her develop. And now she's around my age. She's a well-known espiritista, and I think she's in Florida. Last time I checked, she was either in Puerto Rico or in Florida. But now she's a espiritista. She's well-developed. She went through a hard time. Me personally, when I was developing, when I was desarrollando, and I'm still desarrollando espiritualmente, we're always desarrollando, we're always developing spiritually. But I was born with the sight. When I was born with that telita, that stuff over the face, you know, that, I don't know what you call it, that thing over the face. And my grandmother said to my mother, él va a tener la vista, he's going to have the sight of the spirit. So I always saw spirits when I was little. I mean, I could see them like I would see people. You know, it was just normal to me. But I didn't really speak to them. I just saw them. They didn't really speak to me. The first spirit they spoke to me was when I was 6 years old. I got hit by a car. And I remember it was the ice cream man. I was all excited and I ran across the street without looking because I wanted some ice cream, and I got hit by a car. And I don't remember the car hitting me. I do remember being under the car. Okay, I remember being under the car. I must have blacked out, and then the next thing, I was in the couch and I saw my mother crying, and there was the local espiritista and santiguadora. The espiritista was praying and the santiguadora was doing, I don't know what she was doing. Again, I blacked out. And the next thing, the next memory that I have was I was in an ambulance. Okay, I was in the ambulance and I was laying on the bed, and I remembered that I was looking at the doors. If you ever saw an ambulance, it's got those two doors that open like that and close. And I remember that there was the crosses on the ambulance. I think they were red crosses. I could be wrong, but I remember the light flashing from the roof, and they would flash on the cross. And I think my mother was there and she was crying. You know, this is how I remember. I was 6 years old, 7 years old. And I remember that I was really intent on the crosses and how the light flashed. It was just flashing and flashing and flashing. And all of a sudden, an image appeared within the cross, within one of the crosses. And I looked intently at the cross, and it transformed into a face. Now, it had a beard, it had wavy hair, and for a moment, I thought to myself, being a little kid, a little 6-year-old child, oh my God, it's Jesus Christ, it's Jesucristo. And, but he didn't look like the Jesus Christ that my abuelita and my mother had in their house. The typical Caucasian man with the blonde hair and the straight long hair and the blue eyes. He didn't look like that. He had dark olive skin. He had a beard and a mustache that was really, I don't want to use the word kinky. I don't want to use that word, but it wasn't nice and combed, and his hair was very bushy, was very black. His skin was very sunburnt brown. It was leather brown, and his eyes were brown. And he spoke to me in a language that at that time I didn't speak English. I was 6 years old. I only spoke Spanish at that time because my parents only spoke Spanish at that time when I was at that age. But he didn't speak Spanish and he didn't speak English. He spoke to me in a language that I didn't understand at that time, and I still don't understand at this time, but I understood it. Excuse me. And the message that he said to me was, do not worry, child. This is not your time. And I'm going to say it in Spanish, no te preocupes, niño, no es tu momento. This is not your time. You're not going to pass. I didn't understand what that meant, but that was the message that he gave to me. Next thing I remember, I was in the hospital, and I was there for, to me, it could have been a week. I don't remember. I was 6 years old, but, my mother would stay with me, and there was, she had the baby, my baby brother at the time, so there was times that she would have to leave me alone, and it was there that I met a friend, okay, and this was not a physical friend, this was a spiritual friend, the imaginary friend. Now, I don't know if you have ever seen the movie The Shining. The Shining, when that little boy, he does like that, red rum, you know what I'm saying? It was like that. It wasn't like that because that little boy that does that was the way he spoke with his spirit guide. And when his spirit guide would give him warnings, he would do that, red rum, I remember that the perispirit, el perispiritu of this spirit was very deformed in the sense that he had a normal physical upper body, but it seemed like he had 3 legs. And that's what I remembered him. I was 6 years old. It seemed like he had 2 legs and something, it was not a penis, but it was something dangling in between the middle, but it was not a penis. It was like another deformed leg. Okay, and I remember his name was CeeLo, and I remember that he would come and go, but he would speak to me, and he wouldn't speak to me in the way that I'm speaking to you. He would speak to me like a mute, in the sense that when he would speak to me, I would start doing letters with my fingers like this. So if he would say my name, I would spell it out. If you said carro, or Luis, like that, he would do that. And that's how he spoke to me. And I remember when I got discharged from the hospital, I don't remember when I got discharged from the hospital, but I remember when CeeLo would come, he would show me, I could close my eyes and I could see the letter C. His name was CeeLo. And I can see the letter C forming in my mind, like my eye. It would be like a black. And all of a sudden in the black, I would see like a C form. And I knew CeeLo was coming. And I would speak to him, but I would speak to him with my hand behind my back. It was this hand. And I would speak and I would just write. And I remembered my mother was like, Luisito, what are you doing? And, oh, nothing, mommy. CeeLo's here. And she's like, CeeLo? Who's CeeLo? And this is how CeeLo spoke to me. And my mother got worried and she called my abuela in Puerto Rico. And she's like, Luisito he's doing sign languages and he's saying it's an imaginary, it's his friend. And my abuelita was like, Niña, don't worry about it. That's his spirit. He went through a traumatic experience. So now that is that's his spirit. If it's not causing him any harm, just let him be. If you see anything that you need to worry about, contact me. My mother never saw anything that to worry because CeeLo would always come and comfort me. CeeLo was there, to me, it could have been 3 years, I don't remember. But I know that he had a mission with me at that time, and I think it was a mission to heal me, to comfort me, and to show me how to speak with spirits. And after that mission was completed with me, he disappeared. And I'll never forget CeeLo. I'm 46 years old right now, and sometimes when I'm praying in front of my altars or in my bed at night, I'm praying, and I always, say a prayer to CeeLo. And I've never seen him after that. And sometimes I'll do this, the sign languages, because that's how he spoke to me, in a way, in a hope that he'd come back. He has never come back. Some spirits, most spirits that are with you from the moment you are born to the moment you pass away. They're there your whole life. Some spirits, like CeeLo, are there for just a brief moment of time to get you through a traumatic experience, which was that traumatic experience that I had gone through, to comfort you, to teach you. And CeeLo was there, and after he completed that mission, that misión espiritual, I don't know till this day, he could have elevated to a higher level of consciousness, or CeeLo could have gone to another mission with another materia, with another physical body. But again, a lot of people think that desarrollando espiritualmente is something it's easy. It's not. Again, it's like watching that movie, The Sixth Sense, excuse me, where the little boy gets all these spirits, the perispiritu of the spirits come down the way they either died in the previous life or in that last life. And as a child, these things are very frightening. Trust me, they're very frightening. Again, we do go through a lot of things. This is not, they don't come down like the Madama statues, they just don't. They don't come down as beautiful as the Madama statue, as beautiful as that Indio sitting there. They don't. If you have an Indio and he lived a hard life, and you're desarrollando, you're going to see that spirit in his perispirito. The perispirit is going to be, it's just going to be very, it could be very hard. Sometimes you might have a negrito in your cuadro espiritual, or a Congo in your cuadro espiritual, or a cimarron, and that cimarron will come down. Imagine a child seeing a cimarron with whip, like, the perispirito comes with whip marks on the body. It could be very frightening, for a child. And not just for a child, for even an adult who is desarrollando, who's developing this. So this is why it's important to have a spiritual community that helps you develop these things, these facultades, these spiritual faculties, these spiritual dones, to help you desarrollar, and not just desarrollar, but to help you elevate these espíritus. Some are spirits de causa, spirits that cause problems in our lives. Some they come with their perispiritu, looking like if they were burnt in the previous life. Their perispiritu, their perispirit is gonna come burnt, and so you're gonna see that, and it's gonna be, to you, you're gonna be nervous, you're gonna be scared, you're gonna be frightened, and most of the time it is the spirit of our cuadro espiritual. So we have to, calm down. If it's a spirit guide from our cuadro espiritual, we might feel fear, just like that little boy, until he realized, if you saw that movie, which is The Sixth Sense, if you notice that when he started developing, at the ending of the movie, he was talking to a lady who her face was half burnt, but he was okay with it. It's because he developed it. So, we do need to develop it. We know when it's a good spirit from our cuadro espiritual because we feel good. It feels comfortable. It might seem threatening at first to us, but we know it's good. We know when it's a bad spirit or a lower level spirit or a spirit that means us harm because we feel it in this area. It's a burning sensation. It's a discomfort. Your stomach, crawls in to this tight knot. This is where you're going to first feel it. It's a tight knot that just feels uncomfortable and you feel uneasy, and it exudes discomfort when it's a negative spirit, Again, we need to learn how to develop these things. Anyways, I'm going to cut this video short because I'm rambling probably a little bit too much. If you have any questions that I didn't talk about, please leave a comment down below. If you want me to answer some questions on a future video, again, leave it down below or send me an email. I'll leave my email down below on something that you want me to speak about or a question that you may have on these things, because I just rambled very quickly on this. Again, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Please share with someone who you think might enjoy my channel. And I'm going to 4,000 followers. It's an honor. Thank you very much. Much love. I can't believe it. I try to bring the best I can to you all. I appreciate every single one of you from the bottom of my heart, dentro de mi corazón. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. I just want to let people know that I try to answer as many emails as I can. Please understand that I get so many that I can't answer them all. And I also do work spiritually for clients that come to my house. I do give readings, I do misas, I do sesiones, I do veladas. And the best way I can reach out to the masses is by doing videos. So please do not take it offensive if I don't answer your email. I really try my best to answer as many as I can. And I try to answer or leave a comment to anyone who leaves a comment in my videos. I try my best. Sometimes I can't do it all. Working spiritually and having a social life and having a family life, you have to find time for everything. So please do not take it offensively. I appreciate every email that I get, every message of encouragement. Muchas gracias. Anyways, I'm going to cut this short because I'm rambling. Muchas gracias. I hope you like this video. Thank you for following me. You guys are my friends, my family. Much respect. Thank you very much. Santo Sanse, Sancista Brujo Luis.